Well, I think I told you, but next Tuesday, I'm going back to the States for a little while to see Sid, kids, grandkids, parents, all that kind of stuff. Short trip, a lot of things to do. But of course, I look on the National Hurricane thing, and there's a 40% chance of a storm forming in the next 5 days. I mean, it's quite a ways to the south, but still, it'll probably get here by the time I was gone. So I'm starting to close up the house, but Hello's staying. So I can only close up certain parts, like upstairs I just did. All of upstairs is all closed up. I'll show you those pictures later. And then I'll leave the bottom windows open so there's some airflow and everything. And bizarrely enough, she's a Bahamian kitty. I mean, these days it's 90, 95, and she's sleeping in her chair. Like, well, perfectly fine. So that's the process I'm working on in the next couple days, is getting everything ready, pulling things in from the porch, putting stuff away, making sure everything's fine. Oh, it reminds me, I gotta take in the propane tank. Mental note.
All over again, the skies are gold, all in my hands, and I won't let go, and never again I'll let you fall. Hold my hand.
I usually start the, house closing up part a few days in advance, because there's a lot of things that I've got to do and remember. So that way, when I get the time, instead of rushing right at the end, I close up this and that, and then I remember, oh, I got to remember to bring this with me. So I start making those plans so it's not a rushed affair, and that way I can remember, okay, I need this, I need that, oh, I gotta shut that, oh, I gotta take in the propane tank, and it all gets done. And even though it's a short trip, because it's that time of year and potential hurricanes, I've got to make those allowances as a just in case. Yeah, and this year has me more concerned than a lot of years, because we haven't had much rain at all. The water is like super warm, and that water has to be warm in order to form hurricanes. I think I read some time ago, the water has to be, I think it's 81 or 82 degrees down to a depth of 150 feet in order to provide enough energy for a hurricane. So that's why the rain, it's a great thing when it rains a lot in the early summer or summer, because it helps cool off that water. And we haven't had much of that rain at all this year. A couple storms here and there, but you get 2-3 inches and it's gone. So I'm kind of concerned that this year is going to be a hurricane year. You see that traffic light? Hasn't worked in years. Only one on Eleuthera.
And I won't let go. Hold my head, hold my head. And I won't let go. Hold my head, hold my head. And I won't let go. Hold my head, hold my head.
So I told you about the, planning for the hurricanes and all that. It's just it's a pain in the neck. It's something you gotta do. You gotta go out, you gotta shutter up stuff, you gotta put stuff that's gonna blow away. And of course you don't know. I mean, a few years ago, we were here during Hurricane Joaquin, which was supposed to, be a dead hit right to us. We had the house all shuttered up. We were in basically one room, waiting to pull out the air conditioner, and it was down by Cat Island. It caused a ton of problems down in some of the southern islands. It wasn't even breezy here. So you can never tell with these things, and sometimes just a little sway if the goes one way or the other. And this one, I'm gonna be gone. See, if I wasn't gonna be gone, I wouldn't do this right now. I'd wait till it got more defined, shall we say. But I'm not gonna be here, so I've gotta make the preparations that something could happen. Could be just a tropical storm, 30, 40 mile an hour winds, some rain, no big deal. But again, I'm not going to be here. So I have to make all the preparations as if it's going to turn into something bad, and then hope and pray it doesn't turn into something bad. So there's a lot of little bits and pieces that you end up having to do, but I suppose in some regards it's sort of like preparing for a major snowstorm. You're going to have a blizzard, you've got to make sure everything's all set, you've got supplies, you've got this. A little bit different, but similar.
And I won't let go. Hold my hand.
I just threw out some apple pieces that I had from an apple from breakfast, and the laughing birds came flying down, probably thinking they were French fries, and there were some chickens after them, and once the laughing birds came down, the chickens disappeared. The laughing birds picked it up and were like, what's this? This isn't French fries.
My head. And I won't let go.
So I'm just about done for today, for putting stuff away and all that kind of stuff. And tomorrow I'll do some more. I'm going to see how the wind is. I'm thinking about maybe going up north tomorrow. We'll see how it looks tomorrow. But one of the other things you might wonder is, okay, I'm leaving. Who's doing the Bahamas website stuff? All that stuff I've been doing, and I do ahead of time. So all of that content is made, it's scheduled, it's ready to go. So I don't have to be here. All I have to do is respond when people make a comment or have a question or whatever. So I can do that from wherever I am, which is one of the nice parts of using social media. You don't always have to be in that exact same spot. What do I got? 2 more days? 3 more days? A couple more days. It'll all get done. Oh, bird just came down. So tomorrow we'll do some more stuff. It'll all get done. I've been doing it for years and years. It's just habit now.
And I won't let go. And I won't let go. All over again. The skies are gold. All in my hands. And I won't let go. And never again. I'll let you fall. Hold my hand. And I won't let go. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. And I won't let go. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. And I won't let go. Hold my hand. And I won't let go. Hold my hand. Hold my hand. And I won't let go. And I won't let go.
Just got back from a walk, and just before I was home, my neighbor's outside, and I said, oh, you got to make sure you look at the weather, keep an eye on that storm way down south. It's a long ways away, but, keep an eye on it. Oh, I don't worry about those things. I've never left the key. I always stay on the key. I said, even in a hurricane? Oh, yeah. As long as I got plenty of booze, I'm fine. I said, what happened in Floyd? Well, Floyd, the shingles went all off the roof, and I had sheetrock on the ceilings, but it all got wet, and then it came crashing down. I just moved to another room. I had some booze in that room. I don't know, huh? I suppose that's one way you survive.
Go. And I won't let go. are gold, all in my hands, and I won't let go, and never again I'll let you fall.